for Dark Easy Studios in Eddyville, Kentucky. It's time for another episode of the Evolution of Survivor Strategy. Tonight, we're talking about games. Is everybody on this cast actually game changing or still game changing? We'll talk about the series of unfortunate games. Your host, Dark Easy. Hello, Easy Nation. Welcome to another episode of the Evolution of Survivor Strategy. This is probably the earliest I've ever done one of these episodes, and I have like an hour before I actually have to get to work and everything. So I figured let's do my Evolution of Survivor Strategy on Survivor Game Changers before I head off to work. And let's talk about Game Changers. So Survivor Game Changers is the 4th All-Star season. And when I say All-Star season is when we bring back returning players who've all played one time. And I'm not counting the seasons like a Survivor Caramoan or a Survivor Fans vs. Favorites or a season where they just bring one or two returning players. Those are captain seasons, and then we have Fans vs. Favorites, Blood vs. Water, those kind of seasons. This is the 4th All-Star season. The first was obviously All-Stars, then you had Heroes vs. Villains, and then we did Cambodia, and then we have Game Changers. So, first off, I don't think everybody in this cast is a game changer. And I just think it was too soon to do a second All-Star cast so quickly. Don't get me wrong, I love All-Star seasons. All the All-Star seasons always have a special place in my heart. Heroes vs. Villains is probably my favorite season. I talked about how much I love Cambodia. And I think what a lot of it was they saw the success of Cambodia. And they're like, well, let's try to do the same thing, and let's try to get some big game players that we can see some big moves and make for some exciting TV. And we didn't really see that this season. And what I said in my intro is how I feel. It is a series of events that happens this season, but mostly you're just like, eh. And I think a lot what's wrong with this season is a lot of the big personality characters get taken out really early in the game. So, like, we got players like the first episode's awesome because you have Tony versus Sandra. Tony's like, I'm Tony, I'm back. They're gonna be looking for spy shots. I'm gonna be building me a spy bunker. Yeah, spy bunker didn't work out, and he messed with the queen, and the queen says, "Queen, adios," and Sandra takes out Tony, and so we lose Tony in the first episode. Then we introduce this interesting day. It's a double travel, single travel council. We bring in 2 tribes who just lost the immunity challenge. So we have 3 tribes at this point in the season. And the 2 tribes go to tribal council to vote off one person. We've only seen this done one other time, and I believe it was in Edge of Extinction. I'll talk about that one because there's a little more. To progress to the evolution of Survivor Strategy is something that this season is. It's something that I hate going forward, but during the season, I think it's kind of fun, and it's a thing that I like to call live travels, and it's in the moment where JT and Malcolm believe they're going to target Sandra. JT gets up, tells Brad Culpepper that they're voting out Sierra, which gives Brad the idea to play. But then when he does that, everybody starts getting up. It's like it's the equivalent Survivor to the Audible. Is when the quarterback's at the line of scrimmage and he reads the offense and he just says, "Okay, we need to do this, we need to do that," and so this kind of introduces Survivor to the live travels to changing things up, and you can tell Jeff loving it. And I'll get more into it because some of these are just absolute, like Winners at War, for instance, all the live travels that goes on. It's absolutely chaos. It's too much at times. I guess I'm a classic Survivor fan where I like the classic moves of them talking there. Because I think it'd be better if Jeff said, no, sit your butt down. You can talk in front of everybody. I think that'd be a little more, I think as a viewer, and because we don't know what's going on. We don't see the story. We don't see all this stuff. But in this season, I did like the live travels. I think the live travels are actually kind of fun to watch. And it's such a great move when they play the idol for Sierra and takes out Malcolm. No matter how it affects the season, great move. I mean, Malcolm was just absolutely blindsided.
And like, and then in the next episode, JT finds the idol and then gets blindsided. Well, not with the idol in his pocket. He left it at the beach, thinking he didn't really need it. And Michaela, like one of the first people to ever bring props to the. She had a coffee cup, poured the water in the coffee cup, and just started drinking the water. You're just like, what are you doing, girl? That's hilarious. That's awesome. Uh, so yeah, I mean, then we mix the tribes up again. We go from 3 tribes back to 2 tribes. Debbie gets to hang out with Cochran. She gets an extra vote. Then we see Sandra gets taken out finally, and Sandra, the way she was talking, you're just thinking she's gonna pull this out. Like there's some way, and I have to say, I wasn't the biggest Sandra fan when I watched her play the first 2 times. I didn't really care for her in Heroes vs. Villains because I really don't feel like she did anything. I do feel like her win in Heroes vs. in Pearl Islands is a deserving win. But this season, I actually got to see Sandra actually play the game. She was a little more. She actually went after people. It wasn't the simple as as long as it's not me. And I thought Sandra played a very good game this season before she got taken out. And I think if there wasn't that second tribe swap, she probably, or if she got mixed in with more people of her alliance, I think Sandra might, or she got stuck with a tribe with Sari. I think maybe it would have been interesting to watch Sari and Sandra kind of work together. So Sandra gets voted out. Then that tribe loses again, and it looks like it's going to be Jeff Varder. Jeff's doing everything he can, and it is, I think, it's the ugly moment of the season, and Jeff handled it as best as he could, but it's when he outed Zeke as being transgender, and it's an ugly moment. I hadn't rewatched that scene since I watched Survivor Game Changers the first time, and it was uncomfortable to rewatch, I will say. So the rewatchability of that hurts the season in a whole together. Okay, so I'm moving on. Jeff Varner, I like Jeff Varner up to that point, and it sucks that he never makes the merge and never makes a jury. But Jeff Survivor may not just be your game. Okay, now we're moving on to the merge. And the merge, first vote, you have the 2 alliances. You have the Aussie, Andrea, Sari alliance, and then you have the Brad Culpepper, the Sierra, Troy San alliance. And first, Haley gets voted out. And Sari's able to get Michaela as her right-hand man, basically. And then at the final 12, Debbie uses that extra vote. They turn Sarah. And that's the thing about this season. And then Aussie gets taken out. So that's the interesting thing about this season. This season, we see one of the most dominant female Survivor players. She played, because whenever we see players win the game from return of season, they kind of mirror players or other Survivor players. We see them kind of mirror players the one who won the game. Sarah played kind of like what Tony played like in Survivor Cagayan. She played the middle ground. She pit sides against each other. She would swap back and forth. That's what Tony did in Cagayan. And so Sarah does play a great game. And then that's the thing about Sarah. And it's one thing I did like. The thing I remember when I watched her first time in Cagayan, I really liked Sarah. And when she came back, I said, that's somebody to watch out for, because I think she was blindsided at the merge episode in Survivor Cagayan. And I think those players that get taken out at the merge are people that are big threats that can make a deep run. Look at people like Boston Rob, who was taken out at the merge at Marquesas. So we've seen, and then also like Kelly Wentworth. Kelly Wentworth was taken out pre-merge. You don't know what these players have because we never saw their full potential. And Sarah plays a perfect social game. Like, her social game is so good that she makes these deep personal relationships with all these castaways, and then like the moment when she finds the vote seal under Michaela's name, where no one else saw it, like it was right under Michaela's foot, and she did not see it, and I do think a lot of Sarah's story, the narrative of her story, is taken away from Suri because Survivor loves Suri, and Suri. It was a beautiful moment when she has to walk across the balance beam, and it was it was an awesome moment because I love Suri. But I do think Suri plays a very weak Survivor game this time around. Like, I even think she played better in Heroes vs. Villains. I think in Heroes vs. Villains, she was idled out. Let's face it. And JT kind of got her at the end in that vote. But I do think Suri played a very good game, and I think she probably could have gone a little further than what she did in Heroes vs. Villains. So if she hadn't done as poorly in Heroes vs. Villains, I don't know if we see Suri play in Survivor Game Changers. But regardless of how Suri played in that game, I do think this is her third weakest game in her Survivor career, because I think her best game was Micronesia. I think her second best was Exile Island, and I think Game Changers was third. Like, take it out, Andrea. That was a bad move, because we see what happens. Andrea was one of the few players that could beat Brad in the competitions. Andrea couldn't win every competition, but Brad was kind of starting to build steam. You don't want it when you get rid of some of the competition, like Aussie and other players, you are starting to give these other players who are good at competitions, and we take out all their stuff. That's what happened in Survivor World Apart. When Mike took out Joe, Mike was able to start winning competitions because that was his biggest competition. And then you would see it again whenever he took out Tyler. So when you take out your competition, your physical threats, that's when one person can kind of run the game. But like I said, Sarah played a very good game and everything. And the way Brad, like, I loved watching Brad play, because I really enjoyed Brad Culpepper in Survivor Blood versus Water. And I like him. I like Brad Culpepper better than Monica Culpepper. And the way he had the alliance, and then he had to kind of play the underdog game. He had to win. It's win the beauties or go home. And that was the situation he was in. But, Sheree took out Andrea, and Brad kind of goes on a beauty run. And then you have the craziness at the final 7, when Sheree says, she gave me the vote seal. She's like, I'm old school. I believe if you got it, you play it. And she tries to use the vote seal, and then the moment the tribal council, she should have read the instructions. That's a very funny moment in this season of Survivor. So yes, Sarah feels betrayed by Sheree, so what she do? She doesn't take out Sheree, she takes out Michaela, who gave Sheree a lot of power. And then what happens in the next vote? We get Advantage Geddon, which is, I think it's a production error, because let's think about it. There was 4 hidden immunity idols. One idol was gone because of JT, but if JT had survived and made it to the merge, there would have been 4 immunity idols. So what happened if 5 people played immunity idol, and they were like, okay, well, I guess we're going to have to do a double trial council tomorrow, so no one's going home tonight, but we'll have to play again tomorrow. I'm like, I was just kind of baffled by, there was just too many idols in the game. I mean, and I think you'll see this in the next season, where you'll have idols that are only good for like 2 or 3 troubles. I think it's just because they screwed somebody like Sari, who played a very good game, never had her name written down once this season, and gets taken out because they literally had no choice. So it's not like the Survivor Cambodia, when Wentworth and Jeremy played the idols and nullified all the votes. That was a great moment. This is just kind of like, it's cool, all the idols being played and the legacy advantage being played, but it screws someone like Sheree, and like I said, Sheree took a lot of the airtime, because they love Sheree, they took all this airtime from Sheree and didn't give it to Sarah, who won the season. So it's always crazy. But, Sarah played a very great game, very strategic. And I have to say, I love the open forum of Final Tribal Council. I think it kind of changes things up. It allows more about resumes, and doesn't allow, we actually have an open discussion of how people play the game. And I think the open forum does a really good job. Maybe this is also the last season where a female has won. So, and then next season we're introducing the stupid Final Four fire making challenge, which I'll talk about that next episode. So, guys, I thought the season was okay. Not my favorite season, not the worst season. I do think it's not my favorite return player season. I think my favorite return player seasons, not counting Winners at War, I go Heroes vs. Villains, Cambodia, Survivor All-Stars, and then I go Survivor Game Changers. Because I think I like All-Stars a little more because it has that classic Survivor feel to it. So, guys, that is this episode of the Evolution of Survivor Strategy. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Guys, if you like this video, click that thumbs up, subscribe, see more, tell your friends about Easy Nation. Until next time, all too easy.